Prime Minister that was
proud Singapore government scholar. And the reason why I'm serving my country now, working my ass off, is because the scholarship came from a bond of 6 years of service to the nation. Our side will support scholarships like Mara, like JPA, will implement compulsory all of them and work. The bond means that you get tuition-free education, you come in for work for 6 years in various government departments, you're rotated around to the best fit your degree, so you give back to the country at least for 6 years. And if I break my bond, so help me God, I pay a huge 30% compound interest financial penalty. That is how the people of the Rakyat get a bang for their buck. We are also happy in our counter model to shift base allocation of scholarships so that poorer students get a slightly leg up in the competitive fight for scholarships. We are also very happy on side opposition to support funding to more countries such as the US and the UK. We're happy to send people to Singapore, to Cairo, to Trinidad, Monterrey, what have you. We're happy with that. But after setting up this counter model, I want to point out the context of this debate. The war for talent, Mr. Speaker, Madam Speaker, is global. The counterfactual is people with money in Malaysia are still going to go overseas, like it or not. They're going to be overwhelmingly Chinese. They're going to go to Stanford, Oxbridge, get connections, leadership, exposure, cosmopolitan mindsets, and then two outcomes can happen. Either they leave and brain drain worsens, which they admit is a problem, or they come back and they widen the gap between them and the Bumi Putra, the sons of the Rakyat. There's a social time bomb, that's also a problem. We want a situation where poor children of the Rakyat can dream of rising up to serve the government to the best of their abilities, and we want a world in which leading lights in the Bumi community come forward so that people of Malaysia can stand out and say, we will stand toe-to-toe with the best of the best on the global stage. I will do substantive arguments, of course a lot of rebuttal to get through. The first thing they say, they'll spend on local institutions. One, Malaysian education is really cheap. I saw their student bill is really affordable. But secondly, good lecturers cannot scale. What we need are people who will move out of the university environment to go to industry, to permeate their leadership and their thought levels over there. If they say they want to fund startups, we say it is precisely in startups they need global connections like alumni networks to MIT or Y Combinator. If you have no local startup community, as APU can tell you very well, it won't work. That is why APU is partner with MIT, I know this. Third thing, they say we want to fund the master students to come in halfway to fill the needs after they've gotten the qualification. Bear in mind that the yearly salary of a typical mid-level nuclear scientist from Germany or France is 3.6 billion ringgit a year, much lower than 700,000 million ringgit, 700,000 ringgit a year. It is for professionals to come in because pay them expat pay when you're in here, which means it's much more expensive in the long run. Now, they say we have too many medical students, then change the course you're supplying funds to. Change it to engineering course, God knows everybody needs engineers. And then they say overseas tuition is expensive, then we can have partial scholarships and governments really that cash strapped. The comparative to a poor son of the Rakyat is no overseas education and no support. Moving on to two substantive arguments. This talent is critical for modern Malaysia, and number two, how we help the sons and daughters of the Rakyat. Now, substantive, critical. What's unique about overseas education? I'm happy for for our friends to get the scholarships. It's about rigorous education to train your mind, a cosmopolitan attitude to be open to the world, and networks and connections, especially critical for mid-career scholars like mid-level civil servants who are going to try and learn the best practices from China, from Singapore, etc. Why is this uniquely good for Malaysia? Few things. Local universities are not competitive enough. Like your universities, although God bless them, they do their best, they just don't rank up as highly as those in China or even the little guy across the causeway. We need is a critical mass of people who are talented, who have branding universities because sadly branding matters, to attract investments, to attract MNCs in growth sectors who are attracted there because they know they got educated talent, hang on tight here to serve the needs of the new industry. Yeah, Habib.
See, a lot of things you're saying on your side is not usually associated from side government. If you feel that it's expensive, it's 3.7 million to pay for the salary of a nuclear physicist. 3.7 million is still cheaper than 6.3 billion, with a lot more students here studying locally.
But Habib, you can't just add up that way. $6.3 billion added up is going to cost a lot less scientists coming over to industry than a lot more students who also feel a debt of gratitude that you funded their education. Only outside gives you that emotional, affective connection to Malaysia. Yours is purely an economic transaction because by the time they've already started working, and that's the kind of lens they think they get here. We also further think that when you reshape the narrative of Malaysia, not as mid-career workers, but as leaders, as future CXO people, you attract the good jobs. No longer do you become the world's factory, you become the world's middle and front office. Case where MNCs are racist and don't hire Malaysians, Malaysians with an overseas education are still more palatable to hire in the global fight for talent. This means that you get a Malaysia which is much more likely to attract the top industries, the top traders, the top telecoms companies, to give people of the rakyat good jobs as they settle in. For every manager you support that comes in, you have a lot of blind jobs for people who are not able to make it to university in the first place. Our policy gets it precisely because we bond them. They cannot support, it's not going to happen. Every time they have a school holiday, they come back and work at Teach for Malaysia, at government departments. We socialize it to care. And then once they spend their first 6 years here, when they work and see their roots, they are much less likely to run away and work in New York. Versus a situation where the rich Chinese privileged guy goes to Stanford and works from New York from the very beginning. Because we have that unique they're grateful, they gave them a shot, then no one else would. Why is this secondly good for the Bumi Putra community? Because they said, to abolish race quota as well, now get ready to be voted out. But here's the point, the government cannot realistically abolish women rights. But the problem is, there's a widening unfortunate income gap because of overseas other races are going abroad and they are getting hired by MNCs. Bantuan Rakyat One Malaysia, I think that's what it's called, only serves the base of people. It doesn't serve the top of people. It doesn't create rights. Our people rights. People you can look up to, who inspire you. The weight of an Oxford degree will overwhelm people who hate you by saying it's just because of my race that you got that way. Our solution is the only solution that makes Bumi Putra policies more palatable in the long run, precisely because it complements bottom-up efforts to raise the base of Malaysians, giving you top-down leadership you can look forward to. This is a policy where Malaysia realizes it is a fight for global talent. And when you fight for global talent, you do everything at your disposal, including firing the hope in the heart of the little kid who still wants to serve his nation. I've never been prouder of your votes.
We thank the leader of opposition. May we invite the Deputy Prime Minister. Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, the reason why Matthew spent a little bit of time stuttering after the KJ question was because within those 15 years, KJ spent time rotating around government agencies, working in public service, being able to contribute his Oxford degree and foreign education to be able to give back to public service. Irrespective of what you believe politically, I think it's undeniable that having people of that caliber is obviously incredibly beneficial to Malaysian society. I don't think that was something that was contested on the government bench. I'm not looking for a job, don't worry about it. I think a few things to note in this debate. The first is in regards to bonds and whether that works on the opposition bench. The first thing, if you notice, Matthew's response to our bond argument is like, but they run away anyway because foreign multinational corporations will pay off your bond in order to make you escape. But wait a minute, if they pay off your bond, does that not mean you get your money back and the 30% interest of you copying out from that particular principal sum? Does that mean that all your arguments in regards to you wasting away money no longer apply in this particular circumstance? Okay, but I guess it's a lot easier for us to fiat that you can enforce bonds a lot more strictly given the political sentiment in Malaysia of not being very happy with bonds in comparison to the government attempting to fiat taking away affirmative action policies in this particular political climate. If fiat in debates that we only can fiat as much as the government can, we're using a lot less fiat than the government bench is attempting to in this particular debate. But lastly, ladies and gentlemen, even if we accept everything that we said about us not being able to enforce the rules the way we want, so let's say the most privileged of individuals get the kind of bonds that we want, ladies and gentlemen,
even in that scenario, it still doesn't take out all Lucas gave you in regards to making Malaysia globally competitive in the talent hub that is required in the 21st century, ladies and gentlemen. We think, especially in the 21st century context, where we're wedged in between not being able to be competitive when it comes to middle to lower scale labor, because we have Indonesia, Thailand, Vietnam taking away companies and jobs there, and Singapore being the magnet of high skilled labor and innovative industries in the south. Will particularly position and have to pick one side or the other. Do we fall into the middle income trap that most Southeast Asian countries have fallen into, or find out, innovate, and find it create attractive graduates for example, the startups and also the tech industry, innovative industries, and also growth industries to be able to come in and finally establish industries and build jobs for the middleman in this particular circumstance. They haven't dealt with all the analysis in this debate. Sit down. But secondly, ladies and gentlemen, let's break their premise, which is they rely on that money being able to be used in order to take more lecturers and professors and put them into local universities. That's how all the benefits materialize in this debate. Because notice, building more facilities are ways that you solve their problem. Because as much as you want to build more facilities, doesn't matter human capital in order to utilize those facilities. Relies on those lecturers in this particular circumstance. Now, why would you even get those lecturers to begin with, ladies and gentlemen? Because it's competitive. First, you have to compete with the price competition that exists in the global market. The fact that Harvard, Oxford, and Cambridge will always be able to pay more in comparison to the Malaysian government to keep world-renowned lecturers and professors in this circumstance. Second, that those lecturers will never want to leave the prestigious names that their academic names are staked upon, like Oxford and Cambridge, to come to, I'm so sorry, UT Mara in this circumstance. Or third, the fact that the resources and facilities allow these people to be as great as they are, ladies and gentlemen. The fact they can access many hadron colliders in their universities, and when they come to UTP, they get kind of like paper mache things. Maybe I'm so sorry, I obviously don't know what you have. But in that circumstance, ladies and gentlemen, clearly there's a definitive difference between the kind of network connections, resources, or even, ladies and gentlemen, the fact that academicians that live in Oxford are able to bounce off their ideas against other academicians around and make their work better, ladies and gentlemen, is all the reasons why they will never want to leave, no matter how much money you offer, and you will have to offer an exorbitant sum to compete with Harvard, and then pay the expat fee to incentivize them to leave their own countries, pick up and leave into a stifling academic environment that lives in Malaysia, ladies and gentlemen. You won't get those academicians on your side house. But secondly, it won't even impact as much in comparison to ours, ladies and gentlemen, because ours, at least you have young, long-lasting individuals that will continue to be community leaders, industry leaders, they will continue to contribute and teach back into society, as opposed to the limited impact that lecturers have in those particular universities for the limited amount of people that actually take their courses and get into those universities. And lastly, even if you have those lecturers, those same lecturers in those universities will not have the same kind of educational impact as they do in those foreign universities, because they don't have the same kind of resources to teach, because they don't have the same kind of material, same kind of resource to be able to demonstrate all their prowess in terms of teaching. You won't even get the same outcomes or nearly the same outcomes when it comes to teaching someone in Oxford with the same lecturer as opposed to locally. You don't get your outcomes, you get middle tier individuals that can't compete globally on your side house. Yes.
Don't you think it's far more better for us to spend the money we spend on exorbitant tuition, overseas tuition fees, to develop the talent we need to like create a sort of thing?
Okay,
develop infrastructure to create
I understand. You're kind of debate at the moment. I've already told you why you won't get the kind of educational outcomes that I've talked about so far. But the reason why we frame this debate as Malaysia needing to be competitive today in the context of Southeast Asia and the global economy is that it necessitates at this point, ladies and gentlemen, you being able to be high skilled, high innovation, like globally competitive, to be able to attract all the investment, all the talent that Lucas talked about in his first speech. That means that even if you have the development of local universities on that side of the house, most of the time, and we could test this premise, right? Local universities are not underfunded. As much as we gripe and complain that local universities are underfunded, we're one of the most well-funded local public education systems in Southeast Asia and Asia. The fact that we gripe about some cuts to UM, UITM and all that doesn't stop the fact that we kind of 80% subsidized most of the time, where other people don't even have close to the same thing. Our problem is on a policy governance level, from time when people are in primary school, secondary school, feeding into teachers training, lectures training, and industrial relations to be able to make local universities competitive. That, takes decades upon decades to be able to develop local universities to the level that's competitive enough to anywhere close Oxford to attract all the foreign investment in this particular circumstance. In the meantime, what do you do? What do you need to do in order for you to be able to not be left behind in the comparative of this debate? At the very least, ladies and gentlemen, outside the house, for the 20, 30 years we have, being community leaders, so social leaders, industry leaders, in universities that do want to change. At the end of the day, I'm exceptionally proud to approach.
Leader of opposition, may we invite Darwin Wade. Here. Here.
Yes.
Apparently, the reason Oxford has more money than us is because the Malaysian government is funding it. I would suggest it's a lot, like it's a very small portion of their funding, and I think it's a very minimal impact argument. Three things in this way. First, can we turn UIA into Oxford? Go and get graduates from Oxford instead, even if it's a small number. So I'm going to compare public unis of ours versus local unis versus is able to drive society better in terms of socio-economic changes, inequality, something that capable of the speech no one ever responded. So first, they said, look, we have to understand that our universities are shitty and therefore we must fund them higher. That never responded to the premise that we talked about. Was the reason that the universities were shitty was never because of funding. If you have seen the amount of trips I've been to from UIA, a $1 million ringgit budget per year of a debate club is unheard of even in Sydney Union. And I think that tells you of the amount of resources that have been pumped into university. That meant that the reasons, but rather the policy governance that happened. No response. And I think that undercut all of the material benefits that they talked about. The magical policies that they would implement weren't implemented with the current resources that could have implemented those things. Instead, they went to mining your trick. No, thank you. Second, I think that also meant, and that's not responded to, was even if we tried to implement the policies that they wanted these universities to be able to implement, why this would be marginal at best. The people they want to bring in will be super expensive because they have to compete, right? Not to mention, like, because other universities have a lot of funds. They're two responses. They said, hey, but we can reduce Oxford's funds by not sending students to Oxford. 194 other countries, more than 200 other countries in this world that like probably funding them. I don't think Oxford will have a problem with funding. But then the costs on your side, yeah, but the costs on our side per student going in. That's the max. Obviously, there are also options of partial funding, need-based scholarship based on how much money you can get. All of those kinds of things come in. Also, let's take them at their best. They said, guys, a lot of these students don't come back. So we also have investments we made from 4 years ago, 30% plus compound. We can use that money to fund our public universities even more. And if they're correct, we can actually implement all of their policies even more under our world. So I think we can just have our cake and eat it too if they're going to be correct about the fact that students don't come back. Is this right? Second, then we also told you that there are additional reasons why people don't come. If we pay 3 times the amount of money, I would still prefer to be a lecturer at Oxford. But this kind of like situation such as concession, I'm using your dictionary against you in the case. Is this circumstances? Those are lecturers who can't come, who won't want to come in because of censorship issues, because of culture that exists here. That often means that you're very limited and you have to pay really exorbitant amounts. Yeah. And therefore your ROI that you talk about is going to be really shitty. Therefore we think they're going to be really terrible at what they do. So get students back, why is it a good thing? It's the driver of society. Why do we get more change? So first, I think we've already contested this. Like, look, we're happy to move to a more need-based system. We defend the more privileged people growing. That's fine for a few reasons. They said people don't come back, and I think we've already illustrated that even at the worst case, then are under like go away because like all the money arguments go away. But second, we will contest if they don't come back.
Sir.
Because look, students in UK who currently live 10, 20, 30 years with their student debts can't get corporations to pay off their debts, but Malaysians are so bright that when they get out there, like they can get their pay 30% annual income, like by I don't know, McKinsey is finally hiring them in London and like paying off JPA here. I don't think that's very realistic because if you're a corporation to pay a whole 4 years of student debt in UK $700,000 plus 30% annual fee, I don't think that's the kind of like 30% interest. I don't think that's the kind of things corporations are likely to do. If they did, that would be great for us. If they don't, that would also be great for us. Because they come back, then they can work for us. So even if we have smaller amounts of people coming back, why is it a great thing? They said, but guys, share it out to a larger pool of people. That's it. We don't really have a problem with accessibility currently. That means you're also supporting local units. Yeah, I don't think you have to say, yeah, lots of local units. I think we can have a bit of both. I think that mixture is a really good thing for us because we think there's a unique benefit that comes from abroad studies, people coming back. But then also think study could be much better with Oxford education. Have you seen some of these Facebook posts? But the comparison was, would they bunch? Okay, no, I'll consider even if the best scenario under their, they get slightly larger sheep. We'll argue to get a few tigers to drive the economy. And I think that's where we came in. Because people, organizations that have the power to think global, have the experience we've gotten from abroad, can take the way, that's very critical. Because you need the followers that this can provide. That's why I think that in spite of the fact that the Malaysian economy is filled with a lot of people who are local, you just need a few of them to often start the discourse, start a lot of process towards moderation, and lots of infrastructural benefits, youth sports that have happened, of a few people who have a broad education who have done this. Sure.
So this is very convenient. The debate is just about broad scholarships versus broad. We as government benefited industries here. It is about it's a zero-sum game. Use money here or elsewhere.
So two things. This is why. So your first case is that they won't come back. We can use the money for it. Your second case is that they will come back, and so in which case you can use the infrastructure better. So if even in you have better infrastructure, people are able to shape those infrastructure society. Finally, I want to talk about this, right? And I think this is a context in society that they never actually responded to. The fact is, a lot of rich people will go abroad anyway. That brain drain happens in their world. The comparative worst case scenario where we actually rich people will definitely make sure that brain drain didn't happen. And they came back because we funded them instead of them funding themselves. And I think that was a comparative edge. The second, on a complete on this, was that even if we are privileged largely, there was still a lot of people who would otherwise not be able to afford an abroad education that got them now. That meant a lot of people achieving a future and solving could achieve that. And I think that was what continuously fighting for, particularly for the rural majority of Malays that live in this nation.
Kita nak kita wait, we invite your opposition reply. Then yeah.
For most of my life, I've lived in a one flat. All I thought is the joy of being to go be rich one day. And I got a scholarship from the government, and I wasn't used to well. I go and I'm like poor boy in a big city, and my mom calls me from long distance and puts her phone to her stove, and my tears come unbidden. I miss my home. The point is this: the type of love that I give to the nation, when a chance at a better life. And like it or not, will about similar to the nation are real things. So I think if you kill it and turn the ground, you'll be robbing those Malaysian blazes on his heart and on his scalp. That is the kind of wish to do better for the people. It's something that touches people's hearts. Something he also never dealt with. Just maybe their world doesn't allow for that. Their transactional world doesn't allow for cultivation for the love of the nation. How do we grow the Malaysian economy? So let's use their case first. He said, your side is penny wise and pound foolish. We told you that when you break a bond, you get 30% of the money back in the government. Throw money to compete with harvest prestige and equipment. The first second speaker on government told us we have not enough cash. The third speaker dropped waste time. We cannot waste time. And want to use that cash to spend on improving UN and UKP. A case eventually that was built on shifting sands. What we feel is that even in their best argument, we want to stop the perception that the West is the best. We're using the money to improve UN, UKP, and local systems. My erstwhile teammates, who I've learned a lot of this tournament from, say that it's not mutually exclusive. But in the best case, if you want to improve local universities, it takes a generation. You may never be covered, we don't know. But also the larger thing, the larger policy of growing the economy, attracting companies, growing the opportunities, improving our primary schools, we don't know. The point is, it's a lot. It takes a village to raise a child, and you can't just find money to public education and hope things work out. How do we attract companies? We told you about educating your workforce. But the little annoying dot down south, you know, that one. Complementing the government support or spending money on infrastructure. The technology that Malaysia is so good at, and bringing it with talent who's willing to come here. Malaysia is no longer the back office, but we are a front runner. They never dealt with my arguments in LO about the brain drain that will result. The rich people are going to run the board anyway. That's the problem. That even if they come back, there will be social tension between the boonies, the haves, and the have-nots. Also a problem on their side. But let's think about how we grow Malaysians. I don't want to talk about KJ, a big girl from middle-income family. What's the story? The story is that she gets a 70% subsidy from the government. She's means tested because she can pay some of it. She goes to Sciences Po for 5 years in France. Comes back every year on an internship, interns in departments, socializes with the nation, and works for 6 years. Her journey is as follows. For the first 2 years, she works for poor issues of Iraq, understanding why other people can't get education, and cry every night to the better. She then gets seconded to the board like Sean to know what they need and carries with her valuable mystery knowledge. This is key. Telling them that her Oxford degree allows her to run machine learning and showing people how to do that real. And at the end of the bond, she decides, I don't want to go back to the USA. I'll join a global trading firm that just expanded its operations in KL, like for example, Cargill, because she has overseas experience. This is the journey of you, and of any one of us who could dare to dream. This is the journey about parents who skip their leader to send that girl to school. That lifts the burden so that family and who gives Malaysians want to bleed the rocket from their heart and their skull.
Thank you for the reply. To end this debate, let's invite government reply. Here. Please, now come to the floor, shake hands, and wait outside. Outside.